Graduated Math 7-8 students. We are in Module 11, Lesson 2. And Module 11, Lesson 2 is called Solving for Unknown Angles Using Equations. And this can be found on page 70 of my comp book. So here are these notes. Solving for unknown angles using equations. The goal for today. Today we are going to solve for missing angles using complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles. Now some of you might be thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know what all of those words are. Well, we're going to go over them and I'm going to show you. So don't fret, I will get you what you need to know. So the question I want you to be thinking about is, how can you remember the different angle relationships and what they mean? Well, we can go back to our good old friend here called the unit circle. And the unit circle is going to show us what all of those terms mean. So in the other lesson that we looked at yesterday, we talked about complementary. Complementary angles, remember, are two angles or three angles or four angles or any angles as long as they add up to having a sum of 90. So if I was to divide these into angles, and let's say this one right here plus this one right here, okay, plus this one right here. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to find out what angles added up together would equal 90. So what if I told you that the first angle was 11 degrees? 11 degrees. So if we know it's 11, this one right here, this angle measure right here is 11 degrees. And then I tell you that this angle measure right here was 52 degrees. Okay, remember these aren't drawn to scale. How could you figure out what that middle one is? Because remember, complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So if you said that this one would be 27, then you would be correct. Because if you do the math, 11 plus 27 is 38, and then 38 plus 52 gives you 90. So the green angles that we drew on our unit circle are known as complementary because they add up to 90 degrees. Okay, those are complementary. Okay, well then the second one that we were looking at was supplementary. So supplementary angles are where you have two angles that add up to 180. So what if we had this right here, and this amount from here to here, I'm going to tell you, is 125 degrees from here to here. Okay, so we have 125. Who can tell me what the other angle would measure? If you said 55, then you are correct. And the way that we figure that out is we know that from here, the starting point here to here was 125, and then from here to here is 50. So 125 to plus 55 gives us 180, which is a supplementary angle. Angles added equal 180 degrees. Okay, so those are supplementary. All right. The next one that we have up there is vertical angles. Vertical angles are interesting because they're angles that when you have two intersecting lines, so let's say we're looking at these two and these two, and it's kind of hard to see with all these colors going on, but if I take this one and this one right here, they're created by these two intersecting lines right here. These are called vertical angles, and they are the same. So they have the same measure. So vertical angles are the same size. So if I tell you that this one right here is 90 degrees, what does that one right there have to be? 90 degrees, because they're the same. They're vertical angles. Okay? One way to remember vertical angles is that they're across from each other. Okay? And then the last one that we have to talk about is we could say that this angle, 52 degrees, right? 52 degrees right here, and this angle right here, which is 90 degrees, right? We could say that these angles are adjacent angles. And the reason why they're adjacent is because they share a common side. So adjacent angles share a common side. That's what makes them adjacent. Okay? So adjacent angles share a common side. Vertical angles are exactly the same size because they're across from each other. Supplementary angles add up to 180. Complementary angles add up to 90. Okay? And that's what you need to know about those. So I have a couple of practice problems that I want you to try because remember it said we were going to solve for the missing angles using those terms. So I have two practice problems. The first one is x plus 37 equals 90. And the second one is 112 plus x equals 180. So I need you guys to figure out what x is for both of these, remembering those rules. Okay? Going back to our goal, today we are going to solve for missing angles using complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles. The question that I want you to remember is, how can you remember different angle relationships and what they mean? The answer to that is practice. Practice, 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 and working with them, because once you start working with more of them and more often, they become very easy to remember. All right, my darlings, that's it for today's lesson, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.